I was getting a little bit ahead of myself in terms of the empirical results, talking about the course that we had the special opportunity to work with, and that is this PSTL 1131. That's a basic introductory biology course to help students basically acclimate to the university setting. This was part of what we used to call the para-college and so forth. And it's taught by an instructor who is a decorated teacher. He's been teaching for quite a long time, very skilled at his craft. And he had redesigned this course to make it a little bit more problem-based in terms of its orientation. And he said, I want to try this out in the active learning classrooms, but I also don't want to go sort of whole hog into developing an entire active learning course because I don't know whether I'll ever be back in these classrooms again. So I want something that's fungible, that I can move from classroom to classroom. It kind of meets, using that active learning approach through problem solving, but is not so tied to the space that it can't be really sort of transportable across those boundaries. So he came to us and he said, so here's what I'm doing. I'm teaching the same course, using the same new approach, same materials, same exams, same everything, even same time of day, because one section is Monday, Wednesday, the other is Tuesday, Thursday. But I'm going to teach one of them in a traditional classroom. I'm going to teach one of them in the active learning classroom. Same semester. And he said, are you interested in maybe looking at whether or not there are differences in this? And I was like, you bet I am. Because it's not very often that a social scientist gets the opportunity to have a real-world quasi-experimental design sort of set on his lap, right? I mean, it was, wow. 3 months into the job, and I get this. As a political scientist, we can't really experiment on people in the political world that much, it's too bad. Highly unethical. So this was a really, really exciting opportunity for us to do. And where we got our preliminary results, most of which are published in the British Journal of Educational Technology in 2011. The other course that was simultaneously part of that fall 2008 project was this family social science course, the 3101. It's basically focusing on household management of finances and so forth. And it's usually a large course. This instructor was also one of our faculty fellows. And we have a faculty fellowship program that's an 18-month program where participants are given $10,000 to work on an individual project. And they work closely with 2 faculty developers and then a researcher who was myself. And over the course of that, they work on this individual project that they're wanting to do, and it's usually a course transformation or something along those particular lines. They also have a larger group project that they work on collectively. It's a collaborative project that produces a deliverable for OIT, Office of Information Technology. But Catherine, the instructor in this course, was really excited about these active learning classrooms. Her building was adjacent to where this one was housed, and she had seen it, but she didn't know whether or not she could get in because the biology department basically ran that room. So she gets the opportunity to go in and gets them to agree to let her in 1 year later. And so what we have here is a longitudinal design where she comes in as part of this faculty fellowship program, taking her course as it exists from the traditional space and putting it into this space and teaching it just the way she always had, which is basically lecture with PowerPoint slides. A little bit of discussion here and there and so forth, but basically a typical course. She doesn't change anything, just changes the space. And over the course of that faculty fellowship program, she underwent that process of transforming her course with a specific eye of design of making it more engaged and fitting the active learning classroom itself. So she jettisoned a lot of the components of lecture, put a lot of that stuff online, developed a whole series of activities surrounding a lot of the things that she did, got rid of the midterm exam and so forth, and changed the course, and then 1 year later in the fall of 2009, taught the same course in the same space. And so then we get the longitudinal design of making, of holding the space and the instructor and the course constant, but changing the pedagogical approach within that same space. And part of our reason for thinking about these designs is the research that Bob Buechner out of North Carolina State and Yehuda Dori and others at MIT have been doing is that we had confounds in place. They were simultaneously putting the space and the pedagogical changes in at the same time. And in the case of MIT, they were actually changing things as they were going through the semester. And so they got good results on the back end. It showed, oh, something's going on in these spaces, but you didn't know whether it was the space or you didn't know whether it was the pedagogy. And we wanted to unpack that. And we had these opportunities to begin to do that, to isolate the effects of space, isolate the effects of pedagogical change. And then in the spring of 2011, an instructor with whom we've worked for quite some time laid in our lap the opportunity to replicate the first experiment, but this time in the new SDSS building that I just showed you. She was basically doing the same biology course, the same intro biology course, which is actually out of the College of Biological Sciences as opposed to the post-secondary teaching and learning department. And it was the same scenario. Same instructor, same course, same exam questions in many cases because they use a test bank out of that department. And it was even going to be in the same building. So any sort of halo effect that people had been sort of questioning us about in terms of the newness of that space versus kind of the old classroom, it was all housed in the same building. So in general, the halo effect was constant because the whole thing was new, right? The only difference that we had there was that she was not staggered every other day at the exact same time. The first section was taught at 10 o'clock, the other was back-to-back at noon. So we get a little bit of variation in terms of the time, but really not much, really, more likely than not, that wasn't going to make that big of a difference. It might have made a difference if one of those sections was at 8 o'clock in the morning and the other was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? You get the early risers, the go-getters, the early birds catching the worm. We know that typically students of higher aptitude and so forth take those early morning classes. And then in the later afternoon, you can get tired, you have lunch and that kind of thing. And so having them back-to-back in the middle of the day seemed to be quite a bit of control that it offered us. And so that's a replication of an experiment. So getting one quasi-experimental design in our laps in the fall of 2008 is one thing. The opportunity to replicate that experiment in the field is quite another. So that's a lot of what I'm going to show you, at least on the first part of this. Are there any questions about the actual structure of the design?